Hello and welcome to another video on chart calculations available on the Astrology Practice website. In this one, I want to look at annual profections. This is another timing technique that's coming to us from Valence, from Vetus Valence. Um, it is a timing technique that pretty much helps you figure out which planet is going to rule a specific year of life. So in your first year of life, the first house is activated, whatever sign. So if you're a Leo rising, Leo will be activated and the sun will be activated. So obviously you need to look at the sun, and conjunctions probably will be activated. It also gives you the aspect classes that are being activated. Um, we usually do annual profections from the ascendant. So in the first year of life, we start from the ascendant, and the first house is activated. And in the second year of life, when you turn one, the second house will be activated. The second house from the ascendant, because we begin profections from the ascendant, right? So there are a number of places that you can begin profections from. I really recommend to do profections from the ascendant. That's the default method. Everything else in here is experimental. We usually can do profections from the sun or the moon, which are the sect light or the um, contrary to the sect luminary. So if you're born during the day, that would be the moon. If you're born during the night, that would be the sun. So they're sort of arranged in order. I would usually look at the ascendant, and then I would look at the sun if you're born during the day, then the moon. So you just need to select the sect light and the contrary luminary. You don't need to think about which one is which. Or you can just select the sun and the moon, and you don't need to think about the sect light and the luminary contrary to the sect, which is the third option here. But I really recommend that all the profections are done from the ascendant, especially if you're new to this method. I put the birth details for the birth data for Prince Harry here, who's born in 1984, September the 15th at 4:20 p.m. for royal birth times. We know that usually they're pretty accurate because they keep good records of when these people are born. And if we calculate this, so we look at annual profections from the ascendant. He's 41 now, and 41 in 10 months. So he's almost finished his year. So it's a good idea to, if you want to experiment with this, if you want to look at people's biographies or people's lives, and you want to do research with this method, it's better, if you look at whatever profession they're in now, you want that year to be finished, or you want to look at a year in the past. So when he was 40, what was that year really about, right? We want to look at that. What was he in the news for, and see if that matches in any way with the planetary ruler. So for him, because he's 41 today, he would be 41 years and 10 months, and he would be in a sixth house profection. The sixth house is activated. Usually this is about, it is less fortunate. It is one of the less fortunate houses. So the second house, the eighth house, the sixth, and the 12th, in that order, they're getting more and more unfortunate. And the sixth and the 12th are the most difficult profection years, probably. The active house is Gemini, and the Lord of the Year is Mercury, and there are no planets in the sixth house. So this method is pretty much telling you, for now you are in a sixth house profection. You look at things related to the sixth house. Gemini is activated, so Gemini significations are activated, and Mercury is active, and the ruler of the year, will sort of set a tone for the year and for what that year will be remembered, what the year will be about. I think this year, from what I could see in the press, I did a little bit of research before this, he's particularly been known, especially in July, he's been known for a lawsuit with a newspaper regarding privacy. And I think he has just lost, a couple of days ago, he has just lost a lawsuit. That's quite interesting. So if we look a little bit later here, his Lord of the Year, which is Mercury. Mercury in his natal chart is in Virgo in the ninth house. So the ninth house, it's a relatively fortunate house because it makes a trine with the ascendant, but it is about law, philosophy, higher learning, And it is about judges, and usually court cases. Judges also kind of fall in the ninth house. Sometimes in the 10th because they represent people with authority, but very often in the ninth house. And Mars makes a square with Mercury, which, because he has a day chart, Mars will be the most difficult planet in his chart. So we already see that, beside the fact that um, this year is quite difficult because it's a sixth house profection, the ruler of the year, Mercury, makes an aspect natally with Mars, which adds to the difficulty. Mercury is in Virgo in the ninth house, so it is strengthened. He probably still has a lot of support, and things will be okay ultimately, because Mercury, it is very strong in Virgo in the ninth house. But the square with Mars definitely shows some loss, some misfortune. There has probably been quite a lot of financial loss involving in this case. This Mercury also makes a trine with Jupiter, which is very good because in a day chart, Jupiter is the most beneficial planet. So there will be some help from there, and a sextile with Saturn, which is sort of mixed because Saturn is a malefic planet, but in a sextile it cannot really harm Mercury. It can provide some discipline, though, some constructive criticism in a way, maybe. You also, if there are any planets in the sixth house, they will get analyzed and you get a small synthesis at the end. So we can see that for annual profections, indeed, we have some things that do match here. Mercury in the 10th house this year has probably been marked by this very, very large lawsuit that he's been going through, which is a ninth house topic. The square with Mars is evident because there has been a loss. He's probably going to be fine financially. He probably has a lot of support. The trine with Jupiter is obvious. And the sextile with Saturn, maybe because he's had a pretty good reputation and social standing for quite a few years. So maybe there's some constructive criticism there and some surmountable difficulties that he can go through. I've also added a section for monthly profections. So right now he's in the 10th month of life, which is governed by Pisces, by Jupiter. You can probably see which months are most difficult. He's just moved into this 10th month because today is July 15. So since he's born September 15, he's now moved in the 10th month. But the previous month was ruled by Saturn, right? The 9th month, which is when he lost his lawsuit, which is one of the more difficult months. If they are ruled by malefics, they're more difficult. If they're ruled by benefics, they should be a little bit better. So maybe this month for him goes a little bit better, and then again from August 15th, it might be a little bit more difficult. And this is pretty much it. I have a disclaimer at the end which says that you shouldn't take everything in this reading for granted, and you shouldn't consider it alone because there are many things that can modify the planetary conditions. But this is a pretty good overview, I think, and this is one of the more technical chart calculations that you can do, but I think the explanations are quite comprehensive and quite good, so you can understand quite easily what a year is about, and you can see which topics are most emphasized during that year. Maybe in some later iterations of the website, I'll probably add another field for the age, so you can input what age you want to look at profections for. So if you want to look at profections from 10 years ago or 5 years later, you should be able to do that, but it'll come in a later version probably. But for now, you can see the profections that you're in now, and you have very good explanations, and you can understand. This is one of the main techniques that I use in my chart calculations and in my chart readings. And you can see sort of how it works and what goes on behind the scenes before a certain prediction is made, or before some statements are made in astrology. Of course, this is not a method that's used in isolation. It's used with many other methods. I hope this will be quite useful, and thank you for watching.